Hey, what's up? So, ow. I went to the park a few moments ago to meet up with Lisa. I took a video of a guy operating a radio controlled little ferry or tugboat or fishing boat, sorry. Yeah, because he had miniature lobsters in it as well. He was very proud of his detail, his attention to detail. He noticed me recording him, so I waved. So I waved, and he waved, or he kind of gesticulated with his roll of paper towel. So yeah, I went there, and I was feeling a little bit weird going there, given that I had had an argument with Lisa, a pretty vicious argument with Lisa a few days prior, and I just started chatting about some of the things that I thought were silly. She said that one of her coworkers was really great. He's a pilot. I just found it a little bit strange that when I had asked this pilot, I had a series of assumptions that he would be very precise in his use of words, such as, let me know when you arrive at the destination address. So he texted me that he had arrived at the destination address, and yet it was the origin address. The origin, destination, adresse. Lisa defended him, saying that perhaps it was a language thing, and hence I pointed out that all of those words exist in French and are pretty darn identical. And I said, well, I guess that's your position. So I felt like it was a little bit of a debate. What does it hurt to just say, hey, fuck, that is a little bit surprising. Like, I told him that when he works with her man does not have a functional phone. He can only text with it. And so I said, Andy, I'm going to need you to keep your phone on so I can communicate with you. And in this particular instance, it was pretty darn important because there was a client who was adamant about, I'm not paying a penny more if you guys show up half an hour early. So this is the situation. She had hardly anything. It took them next to no time to load up. They did it within the minimum period of time, the 2 hour minimum, plus her 1 hour travel, no cost to her. And yet she kept insisting that if they showed up prior to her scheduled and appointed elevator reservation of 2:30, then there was no way that she was going to pay the additional $50 fine that the building was going to impose on her for showing up with, oh. So at some point I just said, look, I hope you're seeing that we're not the problem here. We're showing up on time. We're not telling you that we're canceling or we're like 7 hours late. I really tried to get her to understand a different perspective as opposed to adopting this one where half an hour early in the moving industry in the month of June is almost a miracle. You know, it's hard for me to be precise and accurate when clients are subjective. By virtue of their humanity, they're subjective. Do you have heavy furniture? No. And yet there's a 500 fucking pound couch. So very, very subjective shit. You know, do you have 10 boxes? We have 10 boxes. You show up, there's 50. It's not a third floor, it's a fourth floor with a mezzanine, which makes it a fifth floor. Walk up, walk down. So very challenging, physically demanding, and hard to predict what the fuck is going to happen. So I gave the afternoon people a range, and yet in this instance, we arrived 30 minutes prior to the smallest part of that range. And so this lady was freaking out about the potential penalty for arriving 30 minutes early at her destination address. And so, what the fuck, man? Come here. Come here. Ooh, who's a good boy? Oh, yes. Oh, shit, you're making me dirty. What the fuck? Arrgh. So, I told Andy, I said, Andy, you gotta have your phone on so I can communicate with you guys. There was no answer. No answer. And yet he's a pilot. Is there ever a time when you're flying an airplane where you just decide to click on the radio or whatever method of communication. I really doubt that. And yet she persisted in saying no, and then yes, he's got strengths. He's got definite strengths. And she spoke about people's strengths, and it became a Sesame Street episode. La la la. Today we're gonna talk about people's strengths. La la la. And all the good things they could do. La 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 la. So always think highly of the people around you. La la la. Can you tell me how to get to Delusional Street? So that's it, man. It's just these delusions that we're just gonna look at. Yes, you can look at the positive, but there was a problem, and it created stress, and it wasn't easy for me to resolve that when I wasn't capable of communicating with anybody. Just acknowledge that, man. What will it cost you? No problem. Second or third story. Yeah, there's a client I contacted. I call my sent folder. I call the people that I sent my emails to make sure they receive them. This one girl's like, I'm not sure if I have it. I will check my junk folder. I will turn my computer on. The whole process took about a minute and a half. And eventually I say, well, why don't I just resend it to you? And she says, oh no, I've already booked with another moving company. But if you've already booked with another moving company, why are we looking for my email that you can't find? So I tell her, this is a bit of a moot point, isn't it? She's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not very focused right now. The final story involves, let me backtrack. So as I'm telling the story, Lisa's looking around. She's looking nervous. She's looking stressed. And I feel like, okay, I don't think it's that demanding just to listen to a little bit of a story. Yeah, maybe I'm bitching a little bit, but she hasn't seen me all day. And I want to get it off of my chest, and then I can move on to other shit. And I had moved on to other shit. The guy with his fishing boat, his miniature, remote-controlled miniature fishing boat. But that didn't go anywhere. I mean, the man was holding up his boat from across the moat, and I was repeating to her what was happening. Hey, he built it himself. He bought none of these pieces, and just a lack of interest. She just would say something agreeable and then drift away. Her attention just drifts away all the time. And it's like, damn, man. It's not fun. It's not fun talking to somebody and they show very, very little, even possibly no interest in anything that you have to say. So I figured I would end on a zinger, and this is a client who canceled for tomorrow, and I figured, okay, a client canceled today for their move on for tomorrow, I tell her, and I think she's gonna grasp onto that and be like, oh shit, man, that's not cool. And she understands this because it's happened in the past. And again, the drifting and the tense face and the awkwardness, and it's just like, fuck, man. Fuck. Why the hell did she agree to meeting? It's just such a fucking downer and a waste of time. I'm gonna have to reorient my thinking and yeah. I need to reorient my thinking in terms of my my projects and shit. That's it. Have a nice evening.